The radio signal had been traveling through the infinite darkness for 60 years, a simple greeting from humanity, carrying melodies of Mozart and Beatles, voices speaking in 100 languages, images of smiling children in sprawling cities. It was a message full of music, hope, and wonder, sent by a species that had just discovered they might not be alone. We never expected anyone to answer. We just wanted to say hello to the cosmos, to announce our existence to whatever intelligence might be listening among the stars. Commander Cuthron of the Valoran Hegemony intercepted that message aboard his observation vessel as it drifted through the outer reaches of a small solar system. His gray scales rippled and shifted colors with surprise as primitive sounds filled his bridge, sounds unlike anything in the Hegemony's vast databases. Music? These creatures made art. They composed symphonies, painted portraits, wrote poetry. His second officer, Sethkai, a younger Valoran, full of confidence and ambition, dismissed them immediately. Primitives with chemical weapons and no FTL capability, they posed no threat to our empire. But Cuthron had served the Hegemony for 200 years, watching species after species fall under Valoran rule. Some fought bravely, some surrendered immediately, but all of them eventually served. That was the way of the universe. The strong ruled, the weak obeyed. Yet something about these humans troubled him deeply, stirring an unease in his ancient heart. They survived themselves, he said quietly, studying their broadcasts with growing fascination. Their history is war and catastrophe, nuclear weapons that could have ended their world, environmental collapse they barely avoided, endless conflicts over resources and ideology. Yet they're still here, still reaching for the stars with hope in their hearts. After 3 months of observation, Cuthron sent his report to the Council of 12. The verdict came swiftly. Earth would be integrated into the Hegemony. Rich in resources, populated by billions who could serve as laborers, the planet was too valuable to ignore. Submit or suffer. There was no third option. Cuthron requested an audience before the council. Standing in that ancient chamber carved with images of conquest, he spoke with conviction. I urge caution. These humans refuse to die. They adapt. They learn. They overcome impossible odds. The Kree representative laughed, a harsh, dismissive sound. They have nothing that can scratch our hulls. Their spirit, Cuthron insisted. I've watched them for 3 months. When disaster strikes, they rebuild. When enemies attack, they unite. They never surrender. Counselor Bethmore dismissed his concerns with cold finality. You've grown soft in your old age, Commander. They will submit like all the others. On Earth, 2147, Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the UN Deep Space Communication Center, staring at decoded alien transmissions, mathematical equations, physics constants, and images of tall, scaled beings. After decades of searching, humanity's greatest question had been answered. We were not alone. The world erupted. Fear and excitement battled in equal measure as the United Terran Council crafted humanity's response. After 3 days of debate, they sent a simple message in 72 languages, accompanied by music, art, and images of human connection. We come in peace. We wish to learn from you. We wish to share what we know. We wish to be friends among the stars. Sarah Chen watched the transmission with tears in her eyes. I think they'll see that we're good people. She couldn't have been more wrong. Admiral Corrin read humanity's message with contempt. They want to be friends, he sneered to his officers. Prepare the submission protocol. Target their largest coastal cities. Make sure the death toll is significant. The kinetic projectiles fell from orbit at 20 times the speed of sound. Shanghai died first. 6 million souls in 30 seconds. New York followed, then Mumbai. 18 million people erased in 5 minutes. Families, histories, dreams, all turned to ash and ruin. The message that followed was simple. You have been chosen to serve the Hegemony. Submit your world or be destroyed. You have 1 day to respond. The United Terran Council met in shock and grief. Some wanted surrender. Some wanted negotiation. The French representative trembled. We have nothing that can touch them. Then Lu Wei stood. Her daughter had died in Shanghai. Her face showed no tears, only cold determination. We offered them our hand. They answered by murdering 18 million innocents because they thought we were weak. Her voice hardened. I will not bow. I will not serve. I will not forgive. The room fell silent. They'll destroy us if we resist, someone protested. They'll destroy us anyway, Lu Wei replied. Slavery is just death spread over time. I'd rather die on my feet than live on my knees. She outlined her plan. Appear broken, rebuild in secret, unite as one species for the first time in history, learn their technology, build ships, create weapons they'd never imagined, and when we're ready, we make them pay. Not for revenge, but to teach them that humanity is not prey. The vote was unanimous. The response sent to the alien ship was brief. Message received. We understand now. You will hear from us again. Admiral Corrin felt satisfied. The humans had learned their lesson. Commander Cathron, reading the same message, felt something cold settle in his chest. You will hear from us again. Such a simple promise. He'd studied humans for months. He knew they recovered from disasters that would break other species. What have we done? He whispered. Deep beneath Earth's surface, humanity began to dig. Not graves, tunnels that couldn't be seen from space. Scientists gathered in Mount Fuji's hidden facilities. Dr. Yuki Tanaka hadn't slept in days, staring at simulations of faster-than-light travel. The mathematics work, her assistant confirmed. We just need immense power. Yuki smiled tiredly. Then we better start working on that. Across the solar system, General Marcus Webb built the Shadow Fleet in hidden asteroid bases. 173 ships, constructed using reverse-engineered alien technology. 200,000 volunteers crewed them, the best humanity had ever produced. They know they may never see their families again, his aide reported. They volunteered anyway. There's a waiting list of 3 million more. Webb allowed himself a small smile. The aliens had united humanity like nothing else in history. Old enemies worked together. Chinese engineers beside American scientists, Russian soldiers training with European pilots. One people, one enemy, one goal. Elena Vasquez, 8 years old when the attack came, had survived buried under New York's rubble for 3 days. Her grandmother hadn't made it. Now, 23, Elena worked in weapons laboratories, improving the very kinetic weapons that killed millions. My grandmother died so I could learn, she told young engineers. I won't waste her sacrifice. For 15 years, Earth remained silent. The hegemony watched from a distance, convinced the humans had accepted their fate. Only Commander Claren worried. Humans don't do nothing, he muttered, staring at intelligence reports. They're always building, always creating, so why are they so quiet? He wrote one final letter to the council, begging them to investigate. They dismissed it. Claren has become paranoid in his old age. In the 15th year, Dr. Yuki Tanaka made her breakthrough. The test probe vanished and reappeared 50 astronomical units away in 3 seconds. The facility erupted in cheers. After 15 years of desperate work, humans had achieved what took aliens millennia to develop. Begin installing drives in the Shadow Fleet, Yuki ordered immediately. We launch in 8 months. On launch day, the sun rose over a seemingly unchanged Earth. Below the surface, humanity's warriors said goodbye to their families. Many would never return. General Webb stood on the flagship Fury of Earth. 15 years ago, they killed 18 million of us. He addressed his crew. They thought that would break us. Let's show them what weak looks like. 173 ships vanished into darkness, heading for Valoria Prime. The Festival of Endless Rule was the hegemony's most sacred holiday. 3 billion Valorans celebrated their empire's eternal dominance. At midnight, the sky tore open. Human warships materialized in perfect formation above the capital. Admiral Wei Zhang, who'd lost her parents in Shanghai, opened channels to all Valoran frequencies. 15 years ago, you murdered 18 million of our people, she said calmly. You called it a submission protocol. You thought it would make us kneel. Her voice hardened. You were wrong. 18 million, that's the number you owe us. We're here to collect. The battle lasted 9 hours. 23 Valoran warships destroyed, 15 captured, the orbital defense network reduced to slag. The humans lost 21 ships, a heavy price, but worth it. When it ended, Admiral Zhang broadcast one final message. "This is day 1. There will be many more. We'll strike when you least expect it. Remember tonight. Remember the fire in your sky. Remember why this happened." She paused. Remember why. The hegemony sent everything. 4,000 warships gathered to destroy Earth once and for all. Admiral Korin commanded them, eager for vengeance. But humanity knew they were coming. General Webb coordinated the final evacuation, 8 billion people scattered to secret colonies across 1,000 worlds. "Earth will serve one final purpose," he said grimly. Sarah Chen, now 70, walked through empty streets one last time. She placed her hand on the memorial bearing her parents' names among 18 million others. "I'm sorry we have to leave, but we won't forget. We'll make them pay." When the hegemony fleet arrived at Earth, they found an abandoned world spinning silently in space. "The humans have fled like frightened animals," Korin said with deep satisfaction, his pride swelling. "Cowards, after all." He ordered the bombardment to begin, eager to reduce humanity's birthplace to cosmic dust. Deep underground, in facilities that had been prepared for 15 long years, automated systems received their final signal. 10,000 antimatter charges activated simultaneously across the planet, hidden in abandoned mine shafts, buried beneath ocean floors, planted in the hearts of dead volcanoes. They were the largest weapons humanity had ever created, representing the sum total of human scientific achievement turned toward one terrible purpose. The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. Earth cracked like an egg struck by a hammer. The planetary crust shattered into continental-sized fragments. The mantle erupted in geysers of molten rock that reached into space. Oceans boiled into superheated steam in microseconds. Mountains that had stood for millions of years simply ceased to exist. Continents dissolved into rivers of fire and plasma. The shockwave expanded outward at relativistic speeds, an invisible wall of annihilation that reached into space like the hand of an angry god. 1,600 hegemony ships caught in the blast radius simply vanished. Their shields meant nothing against such overwhelming force. Their armor was no more protective than paper. They were vaporized, atomized, their crews never knowing what killed them. When the fire finally faded and the debris cloud began to settle, Earth was gone. In its place floated a ring of cooling rock and metal, all that remained of humanity's first home, the blue-green jewel that had nurtured life for billions of years, the cradle that had rocked humanity from primitive tribes to star-faring civilization was now nothing but cosmic rubble. A pre-recorded message broadcast on all frequencies, humanity's voice echoing from a dead world. "Our cradle for your fleet." The trade was worth it. Was it worth it to you? Commander Clorin heard the news and wept, not for hegemony ships, but for the species that loved their world enough to sacrifice it rather than see it enslaved. "They're insane," Beth Mora said. "They're free," Clorin replied. "They valued freedom more than their planet, more than anything." The war ground on for 15 more years. Without their homeworld, humanity became impossible to find. They'd scattered to asteroid bases, frozen moons, hidden stations in the void. But humans could find the hegemony. Admiral Zhang led raids on supply convoys, destroyed shipyards, attacked communication relays. Everywhere the hegemony turned, humans were there, killing, burning, vanishing. One by one, the hegemony's 12 species sued for separate peace, abandoning the war. By year 30, only Valorans remained. Their fleet was half-strength, their economy ruined, their people terrified, but pride prevented surrender. General Webb, dying in his hospital bed, gave Admiral Zhang her final orders. "Offer them a choice, surrender unconditionally and face justice, or we continue until one of us no longer exists." He squeezed her hand weakly. "Remember why we fight, not for revenge, for justice." The final human fleet surrounded Valoria Prime like a ring of steel forged in the fires of 3 decades of war. 200 ships, scarred and battle-worn, each carrying crews who had lost everything. Admiral Zhang stood on the bridge of her flagship, looking down at the beautiful blue-green world below, so much like Earth had been, so full of innocent life. When she met with Beth Mora and Commander Crithon on the neutral moon, the weight of 31 years pressed down on all of them. These were beings who had lived through apocalypse, who carried the ghosts of billions. Zhang laid out humanity's terms with clinical precision: complete disarmament of all Valoran military forces, the dismantling of weapons factories that had produced instruments of conquest for 40,000 years, reparations to rebuild the colonies humanity had scattered across the stars, and trials, public, transparent trials for those who had ordered the murder of 18 million innocents. Beth Mora accepted each term with a nod, her pride crumbling like ancient stone. But when she asked about civilians, about the 3 billion Valorans who had never fired a weapon or made a decision of war, her voice cracked with genuine fear. "They will be unharmed," Zhang replied, and for the first time in the meeting her voice softened. "We are not monsters. We don't punish children for their parents' sins. We don't destroy civilians because their leaders chose war. That's what makes us different from you." Commander Crithon let out a breath he seemed to have been holding for years, perhaps decades. "Thank you, Admiral. You have shown us more mercy than we deserve, more than you showed us." "An apology doesn't bring back the dead," Zhang said, her voice hardening again. "It doesn't rebuild Earth. It doesn't erase the nightmares my soldiers carry or heal the scars on humanity's soul. But it's a start. It's a foundation we can build on." She stood, preparing to leave. "Your people will need to change. Not just your government or your military. Your entire civilization needs to become something better than the empire that attacked us. It will take generations. Your children's children will still be learning what you did wrong. But if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to face the truth, then maybe, just maybe, there's hope for all of us." The next day, Admiral Zhang broadcast one final message to the galaxy. Standing before Valoria Prime's beautiful vista, she recounted the war's history, humanity's peaceful greeting answered with genocide, the 15 years of preparation, the sacrifice of Earth itself. "We could destroy this world," she said, looking at Valoria Prime. "Every soldier under my command has reason for revenge. But we are not them." She straightened. "The Valorian people will survive. They'll be held accountable, but their children will grow up in a galaxy where humans are partners, not conquerors." Her voice grew stronger. "This is the last transmission from Earth. Our world is gone, sacrificed to end tyranny. But humanity endures, because that's what we do." She paused. "You looked at us and saw prey. You should have seen survivors." "This war is over," she concluded. "See that you remember why it began." 100 years later, on a green world called New Terra, children from many species sat together in a classroom, human children beside Valoran children, old hatreds fading with each generation. Their teacher, Sarah Chen, granddaughter of the woman who'd witnessed first contact, told them the story. Not just of war and destruction, but of choices. The hegemony chose to answer friendship with violence. Humans chose to answer victory with mercy. She looked at each child. "Every day you'll face choices. Choose kindness when you can. Choose strength when you must. And always remember, the hand offered in friendship is more powerful than the fist raised in anger." In orbit above New Terra, a memorial station preserved a single handful of Earth's soil, all that remained of humanity's first home. The plaque read simply, "Earth, cradle of humanity, sacrificed 2162, so that others may live, so that none may forget." Beside it hung humanity's final transmission, ending with 8 words that had become their eternal motto. "We choose to be better than you." A promise, a warning, a hope. Humanity reached for the stars with an open hand. the universe answered with fire, and humanity answered with something more powerful than vengeance: mercy. Because in the end, that was what made them human, not their strength or weapons or technology, but their choice to be better, always.